This podcast is for leaders at diverse levels and organizations around the world who are seeking to scale and transform their leadership, to level up their business, and to create an impact in the lives of people all around them. Business topics, trends, innovation, and the intersection with leadership is the focus. We enable success. I'm your host, Stephen Paul. In this episode, we meet a business leader with wide-ranging experience and skills, with a passion for marketing and business development. He knows the essence of working in a fast-paced environment with entrepreneurial approaches. We're joined by Stelios Antoniou, the Chief Operating Officer at Full Force Gaming Group, amongst other companies. And we'll learn about his journey and how he leverages his skills and expertise on new ways of managing and leading teams and working towards building strategic KPIs and different goals. Welcome, Stelios. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Stelios, tell us briefly about where you're based.
So I'm from an island called Cyprus. Not many people know about this place, especially in the US.
That's true. That's true.
I'm from a town called Larnaca, which is where the airport is, just to make it easier for people.
You know, Stelios, I remember just about a decade ago when I came to Cyprus. I loved the country. It was beautiful. I actually came to Larnaca.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah. It's really beautiful, really beautiful. It was very hot when I came. I was just there for about four or 5 days.
It's always hot here. Yeah.
How's the weather now? Is it at the peak of summer?
We still got I think we're in the 40s. In August it does get worse, but then it normally eases off in September.
Yeah. Well, in the UK at the moment we're having a mini heat wave.
I saw.
Ranging. Yeah, yesterday was the hottest at about 41 degrees, and it's tapering down now.
Yeah, I remember when I was in the UK. I think I felt hotter there as well, just because everything's with carpets and there's no kind of air conditioning going on. So yeah, I would rather be in Cyprus than the UK.
Wonderful. Stelios, tell us briefly about your personal journey and the intersection with the professional side of things as well.
Okay. So I was raised in Greek school. When you finish in Cyprus, you have to do military service. So I did that for a year, and then I moved to the UK to kind of work and study. Just because I didn't know what to do, I started working in just any job I could find until I could figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And then I landed on digital marketing, which was very new at the time. So I kind of got into that just because I was into social media and YouTube in the very early stages of YouTube. So I started studying digital marketing, which then led me onto a few jobs. But by doing digital marketing, you have to kind of know many things, which like graphic design, web design, understanding how a business side of things work, marketing, obviously. So that's how I got involved with many departments, you could say, within businesses. Where I got a job in a company called Belty Range, which was a sportsbook company targeting the Mexican market. I did know the background of sportsbook just by being a user, so it was quite easy to me to get into the business and understand the logistics and how the business actually is making money. With my marketing background, we scaled the company from 5 to 25 people, and I was dealing with marketing, but I ended up dealing with operations and commercials as well. And after that, I went to an e-commerce platform in Cyprus. And again, we scaled up the team there. And I was mainly involved with operations in a casino and slot company, doing operations, acting as COO and overlooking all the departments within the business, basically.
Wonderful. So it's a very, very interesting background in terms of the different countries that you've been in, but also the twists and turns you've taken in your professional journey, from marketing to digital marketing to operations. So do you combine all of that in your current expertise and offering?
Yeah, so I mean, on a daily level, there's a lot of to understand the different departments, especially the tech side of the business and the business side of the business. So being able to act as a middleman between very IT-driven minds and business minds is quite useful for whoever's running a business, I would say. And then having the mind of design side of things, just to understand creative people and how they act within a corporate background.
Yeah. So interesting when we talk about marketing, there is the there's the digital marketing, and then there's a traditional marketing. And when you look at different types of companies, depending on their growth stages, whether it's a startup, scale up, or an established corporate, for example, some of these companies have got a digital component of it. They've got the traditional marketing side of things. Do you work and do you advise companies on setting up functions, marketing functions, and looking at ways in which their value chain would be established?
So I always try to look at a business. So how are they trying to make money, and obviously who the target audience is. Everyone at the moment is going very digital, trying to establish themselves within Instagram or TikTok at the moment, which is very popular. But I would say you would need to understand obviously who the target audience is before you do any move online, because sometimes traditional marketing does still work, I would say. And coming from the digital side of it, that's what I would say my lesson is, where I figured that actually digital is not always the answer. Yeah. So I would sit down and try to understand what the actual company wants to do, who the audience is, and especially what their product is. Most of the times, if a product has some kind of visual impact, or it can be visual pleasing, or it has some kind of aesthetic, I would always go down the digital route. But yeah, it always depends on the target audience, I'd say.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. I mean, ultimately, it's what's their customer, what's their customer base, and what is what's their revenue generating model, but also where they bring their revenue from. Tell us a little bit more about trends in this space. I mean, things have shifted back from when it was in the 80s to the 90s to this turn of the century as well.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can't say something about the 80s just because I was born in 94. So it's quite, I understand how it worked before, that there was less technology involved. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, from the digital era, it used to be very Instagram. Now people are shifting onto TikTok. I'd say Gary Vee is a good person to follow. He kind of calls things out before they happen. Sure. So, I mean, yeah, TikTok was very popular during COVID and the pandemic. But again, it's not for everyone. And you have to be quite smart how you perceive your brand within these platforms. But the main thing would be content, I would say. So if you're able to understand how what content works and how you can kind of make it work for your business. I think that would be that's the way you can hack these platforms, just to understand what content works and how to make it work for your business.
Yeah. So earlier, Stelios, you mentioned about marketing operations, but also about business development. And I've always noticed in some of these companies, there's a sales function, or there's a sales element, and then there is the marketing element. What's your view on both these on both these functions? How do they actually intersect?
Okay, I mean, it depends on the business, but I would say sales is very important. And I found this out. I used to work in a call center, and constantly being on the phones and stuff. So that's how I kind of got into sales, just by doing this job years ago. But I understood the point of sales and how it can lead to business. But then marketing, I would say, has to do with how people perceive your business. You've got obviously the branding element, where that's a more deep understanding, and how people, I mean, again, it does depend on the business, but marketing would be that your message, whereas sales is the why you should buy something, or why you should do what the business wants you to do.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. And your expertise and offering, is that across sectors, or is it specific to a particular sector?
Are you referring to my offering, or
your offering? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have dabbled with fashion, which is clothing stuff. E-commerce would be something I've worked with. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'd like to do projects that are interesting, and not things that I wouldn't work with a project that doesn't that I don't feel that I add value to. So that's not something I would do.
Yeah. So Stelios, if I'm a company or a business or an individual looking to leverage your solution, how would a conversation with you and I sound like?
I mean, just as we're talking at the moment, I'm very easy to, I would never say no unless I'm really busy. I always like to listen to people, because I know how it is to be on the other side, where you're always looking for some kind of lead, or someone to kind of hook on your questions. So I always give people a chance to listen to. I would be very honest if it's not something that I would be interested in. If I know someone that would be, I would kind of send them to that direction. But yeah, I mean, just approaching people and asking is a very good way to get get in touch with people, basically.
Excellent, excellent. And can you share an experience or a story where, in your time as a leader, that resulted in a highly positive outcome?
I mean, I would say a TikTok story, which is, so I found these creators that were working within a business, and they were asking, obviously, the people within the company some like quiz questions, etc. And we were a startup at the time, so in Cyprus. So I kind of took that idea and started. We created TikToks, basically asking the people within the company with questions, songs, and just because it was, you could say, addictive content, it kind of went quite viral within Cyprus. I even kind of got recognized in the street just from these TikToks, which was a bit weird. Yeah, that was a proof that if you do something different, not within the actual what the experts are saying, kind of works. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and TikTok is a very, very good platform. Are you actually seeing a lot of larger organizations, established organizations actually leveraging that? Because I know that the smaller, newer organizations are definitely leveraging that. But in your view, do you find larger organizations or more established organizations leveraging?
So I've seen a lot of larger organizations at the moment. I've seen Marmite start getting on the trends. the translation app. I forgot the name. Duolingo.
That's right.
They're doing it really well. But the only thing I would say about TikTok is you can't just have TikTok on its own, just because the content is so quick and easy. You can digest it really quick, but then I don't think many people remember the actual content that they've seen after a few days. So I would say TikTok is a very good way to get people in front of your content, and then just send them to some kind of community, whether that is Instagram, YouTube, or some kind of email list or a podcast. But I wouldn't just grow on TikTok, but it is a very good way to get in front of people's eyes for free, organically, obviously. So yeah, TikTok is good, but you have to kind of use other platforms as well to leverage the traffic, because I wouldn't say just TikTok is.
Yeah. What are you seeing as challenging in the business world as a result of pandemic, and where you are currently, and just generally?
Yeah, so at the moment at work, we have a debate from, I don't know if you have the same situation with work from home versus office culture. So I've worked for many. Obviously, my boss has a different idea, a CEO of the company, and other people within the company. So you need to be able to understand both sides of the argument, and then see if it can be beneficial. Because I do understand, obviously, someone who wants people in the office and to see that they're there for 8 hours or whatever the time is doing their job, versus people working from home and having the trust that they are actually working, and not sitting watching Netflix all day. And so there is that argument as well within the work from home. I don't know what your opinion with the work from home or office culture is.
Yeah, I mean, work from home. Look, my view is, I definitely support that. I support hybrid working. I think it also just depends on the business as well. As much as possible, remote working, if it makes sense for the domain, the business domain, and the type of work that you do, then I would make opportunities to embrace that. I would also encourage relationship building FaceTime, as in the physical FaceTime. So if there's opportunities for people to work remotely, but also to come to the office or to a location to help build that personal relationship through, physical meetings and, social interaction, then that would definitely be a positive thing. The other trend that I'm actually seeing is the 4-day week.
Yeah, I've seen that. I know a few companies are doing this in cyberspace. That's a hard sell to get your whoever the business owner is to get them to accept that. I don't know what your experience is with the 4-day week.
I was actually doing some work with a smaller company. It's about 28, about 30 people, and they had a very good culture, and ownership mindset culture as well. So the CEO basically made a decision, we'll go with a 4-day week. It started with a 4.5-day week, and then moved into a 4-day week. Same hours during the day. I mean, your core working hours are from 9 to 5. But because of the culture, and because it was a smaller organization, they were able to navigate that quite well, and they had some good metrics to manage performance as well, and combined with remote working as well. So you can imagine how good that was.
Yeah, I mean, so I think with everything that's going on in the world, I think obviously mental health and stuff, which is a bit of a taboo still within organizations, I think the 4-day week can be very beneficial. The work from home as well, but then you have the other side, like you mentioned, with the social interaction, which can be also beneficial for people going through some kind of mental health situation. But yeah, I mean, the 4-day week is a good. I think operating a company with a work from home culture is all relying. I think you have to rely on really good tech. I don't know if you've kind of used something, but we mainly work within teams to run the business. I don't know if you've kind of gone down any.
Yeah, we do. And most innovative companies use technologies that bring in the necessary apps. I mean, like even I had, I've got board positions, and I do strategic sessions previously physically, designing on a whiteboard, for example, or face to face. But now you've got these whiteboards, electronic whiteboards that you can use. And it was a bit of an adjustment, but some companies do embrace that, bring that into the fold of into their technology stack. So that's actually very good. But some companies and some individuals are still sticking to come to office. Yes, okay, we'll have hybrid working. You have to come 3 days a week, and it will still maintain our old technologies.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy going to the office just because I used to work from home quite a lot, and it kind of you kind of get into this mixture of you live here and you work here as well. So it's kind of, I like going up to the office because I kind of know when I leave the office, that's me kind of done for the day, but I'm still available, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the change of scenery, which kind of works for me. But I do understand people, because my job's obviously 10 minutes from where I live, but I do understand people that have to drive or get the tube or the train. So there is a massive savings benefit, I would say, from that side.
Wonderful. Stelios, I know you mentioned about Gary Vee, and you mentioned about Gary. Is any other business leaders or books that you've read or follow?
I mean, Gary Vee is a guy I follow, but I'm very on and off with him because I don't think you should follow him like as a religiously, because he can be very straight to the point. Mm-hmm. But he has helped me in the past where you kind of need a push or a motivation or like a wake up because of that. I remember I went to one of his events in London as well, and I kind of met him face to face, which was nice. But in regards to books, I listen to audiobooks a lot. I'd say Shoe Dog by Phil Knight was a very good book, which is basically the story of Nike and how he kind of went from going to Japan and buying shoes and selling them, which is it's a very nice book. Oversubscribed is another one that I enjoyed.
It's good. Yeah,
that was a good book. He kind of changes your mind in regards to how you should proceed, or is about branding, I would say, mostly. But another one that kind of messed with my mind was Happy by Darren Brown, which kind of, it was very different to what I'm used to, but was good. Makes you think, not to kind of have many. It's based on like expectations from other people and how you shouldn't let someone else kind of bring you down, etc. I would suggest Happy by Darren Brown as it's something different.
Wonderful. Stelios, what are some of the important topics or trends on your mind these days that you feel impact people, business leaders, and so forth? I know you mentioned about mental health as one element. Anything else?
I would say just because of everything going on, we are living in kind of very strange times. I would say it's always something new coming in the news and stuff. I mean, I'm very into the going to university versus not going to university and having some kind of different path, because where I live in Cyprus, obviously going to university and studying is a very popular thing for people to do. And I'm seeing a lot of people my age who are like lawyers or doctors or have a very good degree and stuff that are not able to kind of land a job or some kind of good position. So I would say having some kind of to if you're raising kids, to kind of have them rethink what they would like to do maybe, and try to be a bit smart to understand if there is a demand for what they're trying to study. I don't know if you agree with me on this or if you have a different opinion.
No, fully aligned, fully aligned with you.
Yeah, and the other thing that comes from Gary Vee, I would say, which I think that's the first time I heard it, was there's a lot of people that want to be an entrepreneur and stuff, but sometimes being, within a very good company is also quite good. Like where I am at the moment, I would say I'm very entrepreneurial. I think I've got a new idea every day. But being able to kind of operate someone else's business still kind of fulfills my, I would say, entrepreneurial needs. So yeah, I mean, that's another way to look at things.
Yeah, it's a broader mindset that you maintain, but also just keep adding to what you know and keep layering it up and absorbing, right? So that's an important aspect.
Yeah, I'm very good at I would say I'm a quick learner. So wherever you put me, I can kind of absorb knowledge and understand certain things. So that's how I've kind of been able to move around and fit into companies.
Yeah, I mean it's important, right? Because the world is changing rapidly. There's lots of new things that are happening. Attention span is very little. Without self-development and knowledge, you become irrelevant. I mean, what was hot yesterday is not necessarily going to be hot today, but there's something new on top of what was hot yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been in situations where other people would say no to certain things. Like I've been asked to do certain tasks that are not even relevant or even close to my job description. But I've always gone with a positive mindset, just to try to, I will learn something from it, and I'm sure there's something not good will come along. And that's how I've kind of ended up in operations, I would say, just because I've not stuck just on marketing. I've kind of done within my industry most of the departments, I would say.
Yeah. So Stelios, tell us what does a day in the life of Stelios look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing exciting, I would say. So I wake up.
You're living in Cyprus.
Yeah, but still, there's no tube or nice trains to get everyone in. Yeah, I have a 5-minute commute. So I wake up around 7:30, 8. I'm in the office by 8:30, or you could say 9. Normally finish by 5 or 6 o'clock. I try to fight with myself to go to the gym, which normally kind of works. I'm normally home by 8, showered, I have my dinner, and then just because everything's nearby, I can go out with friends and still be home in a good time to go to sleep. There's no kind of big commute, I would say, or I'll just listen to books and brainstorm if I'm not out. But I like to stay sociable, just because it was one of the reasons I moved back from the UK to Cyprus, just because I was missing all kind of, I'm guessing, what, do you live in the UK?
I do, yeah.
So you know how it is to get to someone. I mean, you need an hour or two just to meet them. So having someone 10 minutes away is very beneficial, I would say.
Yeah, no, wonderful. So what's the next big business or personal adventure for you?
I'm kind of looking into the world of, let's say, HR and jobs. So it's because I've noticed the way people get hired is, I find it quite weird, where people are being judged by a CV. So it's not something I think that's kind of relevant at the moment. So I'm trying to think of a way where people can hire people not by a CV, or some kind of different way where people can find a job. and more flexible way. So I'm kind of working with on the side with some developers to develop some kind of app, which is nice. It keeps me busy. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'd love to learn about that, because that's on my mind too, and many of the people that I come across. The CV is an important document, very expensive document if you've done it well.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I've been on the other side of hiring people as well, so I always try to bring someone that I would normally say no to at a CV, for example, and I like it when I get proven wrong. It's happened to me. There was this graphic designer girl. She didn't have much going on her CV, you could say, but on the interview, she was very, very, very good, which helped her land the job. Yeah. So yeah, I'm also into podcasts as well.
Good.
This is why I attended your podcast, to be honest.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So yeah.
Do you have your own podcast?
I am considering of I'm trying to maybe talk to people. It's called, the app I'm making is called Get Your Bread. Okay. So it's how you bring bread on the table, basically. That's the kind of concept. So I'm kind of trying to see if I can talk to people and just understand how they bring bread on the table, and just speak to anyone that kind of works corporate environment. It could be a builder or anyone. It's just everyone has to work, obviously. So it's just an interesting way to understand people's mindsets. And yeah.
Wonderful. No, wonderful. I'd love to learn more about that and collaborate with you as well.
Yeah, of course. 100%.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So share with us any closing messages or challenges to other leaders you'd like to make.
Yeah, I would just say, when you're hiring, maybe look at people, just have an open mind and don't judge a CV straight away. And for anyone looking to do something, I would just say, if you don't ask, you'd never know. The worst thing that can happen is you get a no or someone not replying. But if you don't ask, you would never know what would happen. So I would say ask companies, even if they're not hiring. Ask people, and just see what their reaction is. Obviously, I've just had the chance to speak to Stephen today on this podcast because someone asked me to. And I said yes. So yeah, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Completely agree. Wonderful, Stelios. Thank you very much for being with us today and sharing your journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen.
Wonderful. Okay, folks, thank you very much for listening in, and stay tuned for our next episode on building a business and multiple functions. We will hear more about that in the